your love.
Oh no, that is what they all say when they see me pouring some oil. Oh, then it's empty again. Better fill it up before I go. Cause I'm loving it, feeling it, touch me and being it. See what I see in it, I'm typical. Messing around with it, mix it up, go with it, fuck with it, flow with it, let it all go. Oh Lord, think you know what I'm like, but you don't fall, you lose control. Bittersweet melody when I dance on your fly. Cause I know what you don't, it is me you adore. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your bed. Cut to the bone, it's broken up. How sad. Oh boy, got so hot I forgot what I should have thought of before. Sure ain't easy for you to let go of the rules, cause that's so much fun. Are you loving it, feeling it, touch me, are you in it? Don't see what you're seeing, but typical. Messing around with it, mix it up, go with it, fuck with it, flow with it, please let it go. Oh no, think I did it again. I said a few things that I shouldn't have done. Well, bittersweet melody when I dance on your fly. Cause I know what you don't, it is me you adore. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your bed. Cut to the bone, it's broken up. How sad. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your bed. Cut to the bone, it's broken up. Now come alive with me and quit the jealousy. I know you're bored, I know it's boring me. Now come alive, baby, get out the grave and I know you're bored. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your bed. Cut to the bone, it's broken up. How sad. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your bed. Cut to the bone, it's broken up. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your bed. Cut to the bone, it's broken up. How sad.
Oh darling, if I had bought you flowers, would you still be here by my side? Yeah, I thought this moment could be ours. While I'm walking on you through the night, you can break my bones, break all the promises, but leave me.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TTML Division 1. We are here for round 2 of the championship as we take in the Bahrain Grand Prix from the Sakhir International Circuit. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as your lead commentator here tonight. And joining me in the commentary box, it is not a Tuesday night without him. It is Mr. Luke Etheridge. Luke, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Good evening to yourself, James. Good evening to everyone that is watching at home. We had a pretty close race first time around at Australia, and perhaps given the nature of the Albert Park circuit, we didn't really see lots of overtaking. This is Bahrain. This circuit has 3 DRS zones, and I imagine we're going to see a lot more slipstreaming and probably a lot more on-track action. Not that last week was obviously didn't have its own excitement, by the way, but I think Bahrain round 2, everyone might just step it up a notch.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to get a duel in the desert, perhaps, like 2014 Hamilton and Rosberg, or 2016, I should say, Hamilton and Rosberg. One of the 2 years, you get me. Anyways, but we will start this stream off by, unfortunately, paying tribute to those 100,000 people, just over 100,000 people now, who have sadly passed away because of COVID-19 here in the UK. It is a real horrific landmark to reach, and our thoughts, our prayers are with every single family out there, whether that's your grandson, your son, your girlfriend, even your partner. Please keep at it, because we can only do this without you. We can do this if we all pull together, and every single person is accountable for a life. So just think, stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives. Simple. Back, though, to the action, and, of course, we do have the driver standings to run you through, and that is Amazing Hour, of course, out on top. It was an amazing performance from him last time out, of course, at his home track in Australia, taking the win. Medium Pilot in second, Perpetum in third, but big change from the stewards room. Perpetum dropped down from second to third because of a bit of contact that he had with Recon.
Yes, in the end, on the way, coming out of the pits for Perpetuum, didn't quite realise Recon was there. It's a nature almost of that pit lane at Australia. It kind of does throw you out near the apex of turn 1. Perpetuum adjusts to be at fault with that, so he got himself a 5-second penalty. Still managed to get himself on the podium, but I think from pole position, after having a pretty decent race, he'd have wanted more from that, and a good job in the end from Medium Pilot to secure that second position, especially after having front wing damage towards the end of that race.
Yeah, it was fantastic, I think, to see those top 3 really going at it, especially through the second half of that race in Australia. Go and watch it back if you missed it, by the way. Lyronix is also in 4th on 18 points. Volbegan 5th on 15, tied with Noon on 6th on 14. Zerdamer in 7th on 13. Verstappen in 8th on 12. Matthias in 9th on 11. And Venom in 10th, rounding off the top 10. Running you through the other half of the standings as well as the constructors. Carlsbury in 11th on 9, Imadi in 12th on 8, with F1 Dobby in 13th on 7, Mashivo in 14th on 6, Kern in 15th on 5, Laser and Bullet Boy tied on 4 points. Bullet Boy, of course, picking up the fastest lap of the race. Benham's Recon Schiaparelli not picking up any points. They didn't finish last time out. The constructors standings off to the left-hand side there. Racing Point lead the way on 43 points. Ferrari in second on 31 and Williams in third on 30. So tight, Mercedes the only constructor not to score any points. There is 37 points separating the top 9 constructors. Racing Point, though, had a really good start last time out. Can they continue it up?
I can't see any reason why not. Lyronix was looking pretty tasty at various points in that race, and I don't think it was the cleanest race, really, from either of the Racing Point drivers. 2nd and 4th, very good results from them. Other drivers that we might expect to see a bit more from, Mercedes obviously not scoring any points last time out, Venom retiring and Lemon not being there, and Williams could bump their way up there as well, because they've got Amazing Hour obviously scoring 4 points, but Schiaparelli unfortunately did not want us to show the championship standings, and I think the reason for that is he's stone dead last at the moment on no points. If Schiaparelli drives like we know he can, he could get up towards the top as well, and Williams could look really good throughout the season.
I think, honestly, might watch out for him in qualifying here tonight. Qualifying, I think, will be quite close in terms of the overall qualifying times out on track. It's going to be fascinating, I think, to see how that is going to unfold. Once again, we have 20 drivers, a full grid for you here tonight. I will pass over to Luke, who's going to give you his final rundown. What can we expect in qualifying?
Interesting strategies. Someone, I think, will try to get into the top 10 on that set of the medium tyres because that strategy is fantastic around here. If you're going for a soft hard, a one-stop, you might leave yourself at risk of punctures. So it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be a race where we're really going to have an idea of the results until the very final lap.
It is going to be fascinating, and without further ado, it is now time to get started. Get the popcorn ready, get your cup of tea at the ready as well. We're about to go racing here in Bahrain. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's get into qualifying. Welcome along, though, to TTML Division 1. We are here tonight for Round 2 of the Championship as we take in the Sakhir International Circuit at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Of course, this first track held in 2004. There's the selected tyre compounds for the guys out on track. Like last week, C2, C3 and C4 compounds. Softs, mediums and the hards are going to be available for the guys out on track tonight. Under these bright night lights, of course, in the middle of the desert. Let's have a look then at this track in question. The Sakhir International Circuit, 5.4 kilometres in length with 15 turns. 3 DRS zones, as Luke mentioned. 1 down towards turn 1, 1 down up the hill towards turn 4, and also 1 down in towards turn 11. Quite a lot of overtaking could be justified. You've got to have a really balanced setup around this track as well. Otherwise, you're probably going to be ending yourself in the wall. The pinch point really, I think, out on track for qualifying could be turn 12, and without further ado, let us get started in towards qualifying, and let me remind you of the championship standings as we go into tonight, and I'll just get that off on the left hand side there. And the championship standings coming into tonight is literally as follows: Amazing Hour on top on 30 points, with Medium Pilot in second on 25, Perpetuum in third on 22, with Lyronics in fourth on 18, Volbike in fifth on 15 points, bit of a mouthful to say. Noon in 6th on 14th, then Zerdimer in 7th on 13th, Verstappen in 8th on 12, Matthias in 9th on 11, and Venom in 10th on 10 points. You can read the rest for yourself as well. We're about to get started into qualifying. The first cars are now leaving the pit lane. I think Recon might be one of the first out.
Yes, he is. He's got a few cars ahead of him, and I think it's the man who was actually first last time around in the race, deciding he wants to be the first one to get a look at this circuit with the fresh rubber. And as I mentioned, we have had a few drivers deciding maybe just to do a lap on the medium tyres just to see what the sort of pace is like, and they might decide later on, well, that wasn't quite good enough, I'm going to have to go out again on the softs. It's definitely worth a shot around here. I'd much rather be qualifying just outside of the top 10 and have the fresh choice of tyres than 10th, 9th on a set of the softs. And if I can get into the top 10 on the mediums, then happy days. It's probably a good job for these drivers now. It is actually a night race. Imagine what the tyre wear would be like on these modern Formula 1 cars if they still had to race in the searing desert heat in the daytime.
Honestly, it would probably be about 5%, 6% a lap. Amazing Hour is one of the first out on track. He's opted for a soft compounder tyre, so it is going to be fascinating to see how he is going to get on out on track. And he's the first, and of course, our championship leader coming into tonight. So, without further ado, let us ride on board with you with a lap of this track around here at Amazing Hour. 15 corners awaiting him out on track, and now we run down towards turn number 1 out on track, and already reaching in excess of 200 mile an hour. You can see kilometres an hour there on the steering wheel, but down in towards turn 1, bit of a lock up there on the right side, but comes through turn 2, and then up the slight hill towards turn 3, and then towards turn 4, and he opens up that second DRS zone out on track as he now comes to the left-hand side, but hits the apex very nicely through there, through turn 4. Now through the slithering S section of turns 5, 6, and then 7. He flies through the corner, now downhill in towards turn number 8. And this is pretty much halfway around the lap at this point, as he now comes up again up the hill. Slight elevation change around here at Sakhir, but through turns 9 and 10, hits the apex very nicely indeed. Does Amazing Hour, and now comes on to that third DRS straight, down the F2 pit straight, essentially out on track. He now runs down in towards turn number 11. Brakes just after 100 metre ball, gets the car turned in very nicely indeed, and comes through turn 11, and now through turn 12. Don't want to catch too much of the curb, otherwise you'll end up in a spin. I've seen plenty of times in league racing. Through the middle sector, looking very nice indeed. Amazing Hour through the middle sector, but now coming down in towards this final sector out on track. Turns 14 and 15 awaiting the Australian out on track. He now comes out of the final corner, and this is a lap from Amazing Hour, and he's going to come across the line and set. a 1:24.968. Very nice lap time there from the Australian.
Yeah, not a bad banker lap whatsoever. We've had Conti in the chat suggest that we might get into the 123s, so we're going to have to see a lot of tyre evolution or some drivers go quite a bit faster than Amazing Hour. Dealt with this circuit very well. We mentioned some of the corners that can be quite tricky. I've got to say that turn 9 and 10 is the entire reason why I do not turn anti-lock brakes off on this game. It would be absolute hell for someone with the lack of skill that I've got, but all the drivers tonight seem to be managing to do it. And Laser, he's now gone up onto provisional pole position. We're still waiting to see, though, some of the fast guys. Perpetuum is still in the pits at this moment in time. We'll wait and see what he can do a bit later on.
We can do indeed, and later is only 0.14 of a second ahead of Amazing Hour currently, so it comes to show how close this qualifying is going to be. I mean, look at that, top 7 are already separated by 2.5 tenths of a second out on track. So Laser, Amazing Hour, Kern in P1, 2 and 3 currently. Is the yellow flag in Sector 2, not sure who that might have been, through the S section I think that might have been. Is anybody off for you, Luke?
Yeah, I didn't quite see who it was. I wondered if it's just maybe cars trying to pull out of the way, but that S section is another one. We mentioned turn 12, it's easy to catch for curb, as Chapalele now goes fastest. That run down from turn 7, we see that a few times where cars just clip the curb ever so slightly and it throws you off towards the other side of the track, and the barriers at a few of these corners are quite a long way away from the circuit. Even at that point, though, with the momentum you've got, it is still possible to hit them, break your front wing, or maybe even worse. At the moment, though, Chapalele is fastest. Machiro just going on board with. He's headed towards the finish line, goes in 8th position. Fastest driver on the mediums was Matthias in 11th place at the moment on a 125.8. And judging by the big gap and how close this field is, I think it is going to be extremely difficult for anyone to get into the top 10 on that harder set of tyres.
I think it comes to show the tyre evolution as well, because Venom's just put in a 25.6, so he is pretty much dead in the middle on his second lap of tyres as well, on a set of soft compounded tyres. So he runs wide coming through turn 1, he's now on a down lap. So 25.6, he's in and amongst recon sort of area. There's the yellow flag in Sector 3, we'll try and pick up that for you in just a second. But really good lap time there from Venom. He's currently 11th. But as you said, there's Matthias. He's in 12th on a set of mediums, 125.863. And where he really found the time, I think, on his lap was that first sector. He was nearly a 10th quicker than Lemon, who was the car behind him. I think he's just nearly gone off behind the racing point there of Combi coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's trying to take such a short line just to save those tyres ever so slightly. I'm just going to have a quick look now, comparing Venom's time to some of those a bit faster. He didn't do a bad job in that first sector, because you'd expect, because of the traction zones, that might be where the medium tyres struggle ever so slightly, but in the end he was doing a pretty good job. We've got Medium Pilot now coming around the final few corners as Imad has had a collision with Venom, so that's a 5-place penalty. The two Renaults have somehow managed to come together out on track, and I think one of those was on an in-lap.
One of them was on an in-lap. I wonder, as Medium Pilot goes quickest, top of the pile, 24.4. He's 3/10 nearly ahead of Chapalele. Good lap there from Medium Pilot out on track. There's Perpetuum as well. He's coming through the end of the first sector. I would imagine with the two Renaults out on track, Venom and Imad, one of them has tried to give slipstream to the other. Oh, it's Perpetuum. Gets caught wide coming out of turn 7. We're now on board with the Ferrari as he now comes through turn 8, I should say, and then up towards turns 9 and 10. That's the only reason for Venom and Imad that I could actually physically think of, to be honest, out on track. But now we're on board with Perpetuum, and now we're on board with the lap. As F1 Dobby, I think, has just promoted himself up into P3 out on track. So let's ride on board then with Perpetuum as he now comes through turn 11 and then through turn 12 out on track. And this will be a good middle sector, I would imagine, from Perpetuum. Can he respond to Medium Pilot's 36.2? He's a 10th slower to 36.3 through the middle sector. On that set of soft compounded tyres, the German has got to put in a good lap here. He could be towards the second place out on track. But now, through the final two corners, through 14, then through the kink of 15, and now running himself all the way to the line. Perpetuum is going to go towards the line now, comes across the line, and it promotes him there up into P2. With a 20.9 middle sector, 24.6 is lap time. Not bad, but not great.
No, it's not. And I think what sums it all up is that at the moment, Medium Pilot has the fastest first sector, the fastest second sector, and the fastest final sector. That suggests to me that he's on form today. He's got this setup absolutely nailed for that Bahrain circuit. And I am still slightly confused about how the two Renaults came together, because you wouldn't expect the drivers, if they were going to go for a slipstream, you wouldn't expect it to be at that part of the circuit. Ideally, you'd probably have a slight slipstream down the pit straight, and then a gain on the run up towards turn 4. That's most likely where I think you'd gain. You'd have more time to gain there. Doing it at that part of the circuit is not really the longest straight, as shown by the fact that even though it's got DRS, you don't really see too much overtaking in the race into turn 11. So I think they'll be a bit gutted about that. And obviously as well, Imadi getting that 5th-place penalty. He's heading out onto the pits again. He doesn't want to be, for example, start qualifying in the top 10, then starting outside of the top 10, but still having to stick on those worn soft tyres.
Yeah, just right on board with Bullet Boy as well. Halfway through qualifying, medium part out on top of Pet in second, Chapelletti in third, but Bullet Boy now puts himself up into third with a very good lap time of 1:24.7 from the Brit out on track. He was really good in qualifying last week, of course, in Australia, but then just things fell apart. He was worried about his internet coming in towards the race as well. But third place for him, as long as he keeps that consistency and takes it from the qualifying to the race, he could be a lively outsider, I think, tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I've commentated on him in other leagues before. He's a very quick driver. Sometimes it does go wrong for him in the race, but it showed the benefit of the point system we use here at TTML. He kept on going. He might have been the final finisher, but he got himself 3 points for that, and he got the fastest lap of the race, so that's an extra bonus point as well. And as we say that, he's left the session, so I think I better shut up about that and not commentator's curse anyone else, as Venom now comes across the line. He goes up into third place. It'll be interesting to see if we get the Battle of the Venoms once more, and we get a few more snake ponds from yourself, James.
Yeah, Venom's got the stake bite out on track. He's only 1500ths of a second off Papetin, which is not a bad lap there at all from the Greek driver. He goes third. Amazing Hour, though, puts himself up into second. 24.6. Well improvement there from Amazing Hour. Let's run on board, though, with Carlsbury, who I think is coming through the middle sector. I'm not sure if he's on a down lap here or not. There's a 27.7 through the first sector. But we'll run up with them nonetheless in the Ferraris. He now comes through 7.5 minutes ago. Medium Pilot on top, Lemon in second. Amazing Hour third. Lemon, by the way, went second with a 24.5. So good lap there from the German. Carlsbury, I think, is down on this lap at 39.9. Yeah, you can come back to me, I think, on this one. Right on board there with Matthias behind him. 36.2 through the middle sector. Very good qualifying session from him, of course, in Australia. Let's right on board with him as he comes now through the final two corners, out on track through turn 14. And then out of the kink of 15, he might have just invalidated on the exit of the corner, but now comes across the line. And Matthias goes second. And he puts himself 1500ths of a second ahead of Lemon. Matthias could be a lively outsider for the race here tonight.
Yes, fastest of anyone in the first sector as well. Suggests that he's got a very slippery Red Bull, so he might be a bit difficult to overtake. Just a few yellow flags as all the cars are trying to get out of the way. It always amazes me how around a circuit, Bahrain's about an average length Formula 1 circuit compared to all them that are on the calendar at the moment, just over 5 and a bit kilometres. But all the drivers seem to somehow end up finding the same pieces of track. Great improvement by Amazing Hour. He's just ahead of his teammates at the moment. So, a bit like we said earlier, Williams looking good. With the Mercedes in 3rd and 7th, I'll be very surprised if they end up on no points still by the end of tonight.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's fantastic to see. Imadi just coming across the line there. He's also on a set of soft compounded tyres, 25 flat. Look at how sparse the field actually is. First down to 18th, separated by less than 7/10 of a second. That is all you need to know about qualifying so far in Bahrain. It is so close. And I mean, look, Volby, Dobby, Noon and Laser are separated by 400ths of a second. Mashiwa just goes up into 9th with a 24.7. But how close is qualifying here tonight? It is absolutely unbelievable.
It just shows to me the levels that these drivers are going at. They're really hitting their optimum at the moment. They're getting as close as you'd expect to see. And this is going to make it interesting for the race because strategy is going to be so important. We mentioned that DRS trains again on F1 2020 with the dirty air being more realistic means DRS trains become more prevalent. You could easily get yourself stuck in 13th, 14th place and everyone ahead of you up to the leader could end up having DRS in this race, and that's when you're really going to have to think, right, when do I come into the pits? When do I get myself into free air? Because if you end up staying out on track 1 or 2 laps later than some of the other drivers, you could be losing 4, 5, 6 positions here with how close the field is going to be.
Yeah, it is so close, I think, out on track. Honestly, medium part at 24.4. He came back into the pit lane. He was on that lap. He came back in. So obviously waiting to the later stages of qualifying. There's the yellow flag in Sector 2. Might be just be a driver preparing up on his lap. I'm on board with Dobby, though, coming out the final corner. Let's see what he can do. 24.9. Not sure if he's preparing up for the lap or if he's improving on this lap. Coming across the line, he improves. So 24.674. Just 100th of a second behind Schiaparelli. And it puts him 5th. Looking at the comparison between the both drivers out on track as well, it's going to be fascinating to see where the times were actually found in terms of Schiaparelli and in terms of Dobby's time. And Dobby was fastest in the first sector compared of everyone, while Amazing Hour has the purple middle sector, and then Schiaparelli's got the fastest final sector out on track. So Dobby, in comparison, was about 500th of a second up on his time, on Schiaparelli's time, a 10th up. In the middle sector, he was 7,000, he was 8,000 up, and then he lost it all, 20.9 in the middle sector, so he's got to find a lot of time in that final sector. But fastest first sector means he will go forward, I think, onto an improvement on this lap.
Yes, I wonder if that was just a final corner trickiness. It is a bit difficult, this final corner at Bahrain. It's sort of a double apex right-hander, and it is very easy to outbrake yourself. So I wonder if he just went slightly deep there, and that's where he lost for time to Schiaparelli, because around the rest of the lap, and particularly in the middle sector, it was very close indeed between them. Although currently, TTG Venoms in the Mercedes, he's gone purple in the first sector, and he looks like he's going to be one of the first guys to finish off his qualifying session here. So we'll see what he can do for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, let's run on board with him and see what he can do out on track. As we now run on board with him down towards turn 11. 27.265 is his fastest first sector. However, that's been better by Verstappen. I'm not sure if that's a little bit of a glitch on the TAS system there. 1900th of a second separating both first sectors there. Through the middle sector for Venoms, though, and it's a 36.3. So he's thereabouts again, once again in the middle sector. It's his final sector that's really going to be telling. It's only 2 corners and it's only 20.9 seconds long. So now comes through turns 14 and 15 out on track, and typically he comes into the pit lane. Terrible.
That's interesting, because he was very good in the first sector. It was still looking really good in the middle sector as well. Verstappen, though, he's coming around the final corner. He's about half a second up at the moment, which amazingly is going to be enough to jump him up from 17th to 4th position. He's now onto the second row of the grid, from being onto the second last row of the grid. Yep. That is how close it is at this moment in time. It's getting ridiculous. We've now got the top 19 separated by a second, and Carlsberry's the only one outside of that, but his time unrepresentative at the moment. Who knows who's going to end up on pole position? Who knows who's going to get them bonus 2 points at the moment? I'm looking forward to finding it out in the next 2 minutes and however many seconds it takes.
Verstappen is 1,000th ahead of Perpetum. That's all you need to know about his lap out on track, honestly. Matthias is invalidated, I think. I was running ball with him for the duration of that first sector, or pretty much through the first opening corners. He invalidated somewhere out on track. Not sure where, but 24.5 currently is his best. Medium Parlour, however, though, is on the lap, and he's now coming through the middle sector. Let's run on ball with him. Oh! That's not the track. I think he's invalidated, hasn't he?
I think he might be trying to rush round, to be honest, and try and get another lap in. If you invalidate early, you can do that, but do you want to put that extra lap into the tyres, even if it is at extremely low speed? I think Matthias is doing a similar thing. In fact, he's heading towards the pit, so he won't be getting any higher than second place. And Lemon, I just noticed, he's invalidated as well, but at least he'll have time to get another lap in.
Kern coming across the line just to start up on the lap as well. Just trying to flick through everyone, to be honest, and see who's furthest on. I think Laser is, Volbeat, is one of the furthest on a lap. Let's see what in terms of the middle sector he is like. 36.288, so there or thereabouts, Volbeat, as he can try and improve on this lap. 27.3 first sector as well. Let's see what he can do as he now comes around the final corner out on track. We've got Recon also on a lap, 24.8. In comparison, he's just a 10th of a second ahead of Volbeat, comes across the line, and he goes 9th, so he does improve ahead of the likes of Bullet Boy, ahead of Recon as well, and there is Recon out on track, and I think he's just came through the final corner, and Recon now down towards the line. There's a Ferrari behind, which is Medium Pilot, I think, Carlsbury, that's behind him. Recon doesn't improve, and I think that is his qualifying over and done with as well. Anybody else on a lap, as Lemon has retired from the second session in the final sector. Got there in the end.
Yeah, he is. Now everyone's basically Laser's going to be the first one to come across the line, I think, to finish his session. At the moment, he's currently in 16th place. The McLaren heads towards the line, jumps his way up into second position at the death. Is for Track Evolution going to be enough to make a difference? Shapalele has invalidated, so 8th is the best he can do at this moment in time. You've got Kuhn coming around the final corner now. He's also invalidated. Drivers really struggling with track limits at this moment in time. Amazing Hour is currently up, going through the middle sector. Can he get himself onto this front row of the grid?
36.1 through the middle sector. That was what my reaction was for. Can he do it? Amazing Hour now ran the final corner. Can he replicate that win from Australia here in qualifying? Amazing Hour comes across the line. And he doesn't go quick as he's fourth, 24.5 in the end. There's Medium Pilot. Medium Pilot, I think, is guaranteed for pole unless Perpetum can put in a good lap as well. But I think Perpetum is invalidated. In fact, he's only through the first sector. Now coming through the middle sector, Medium Pilot has also invalidated, it seems, on the lap. There's Perpetum through the middle sector, 36.1. Again, there or thereabouts in this middle sector. Let's see what the Ferrari can do out on track. Medium Pilot, Laser, Matthias, Carlsbury just up to 6th. With a 24.571. Really good lap time from him. Let's see what the German can do. Perpetum comes across the line and he goes quickest. 24.445 and he's 500 to clear of Medium Pilot. Venoms puts himself 1,000 behind Medium Pilot as well. That then is the end of qualifying and Perpetum out on top by 500ths of a second. But look at the gap. Top 5 separated by a 10th dead on and the top 19 are separated by less than 6/10ths of a second.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, imagine being XL Noon. It's, not a bad job, mate. You're 2/10ths off of pole position. Oh, by the way, that is not good enough to get you inside the top 10. Absolutely crazy qualifying session. Hey, this is going to be a fantastic race, and you can't count out those drivers like Noon, like Shopot like Volbeck, that are further down the order, have clearly got some pretty good pace in themselves, and will be starting on a fresh set of tyres. I am really looking forward to seeing how this race has gone. And Perpetuum, it didn't look like he was going to get pole position. Took it right at the death, though, with a fantastic lap time.
Yeah, what a lap time indeed. Perpetum out on top from Medium Pilot in second to Perpetum. Gains 2 points on his fierce rival, of course, from last season. Venoms with his best qualifying of the season in third. Laser in fourth, Matthias in fifth. Amazing Hour down in sixth. Lemon in seventh. Carlsbury in eighth. Dobby in ninth. And Verstappen round off the top 10. Top 10 are separated by less than 2/10ths of a second, for goodness sake. Noon in 11th, but Chapelelli 12th. Volbeek in 13th. Bullet Boy 14th. Machiro 15th. Imadi 16th. Recon 17th. Combi in 18th. Less than 4/10ths of a second. Remember, Imadi picked up the 5-place grid penalty. I think he's starting behind Venom, so he'll be at the back of the field. Recon, Combi, Kern, and Venom all jump ahead of him. And now, pause, take a breath, grab some popcorn, grab a cup of tea, and get ready for the race, because this is honestly going to be one of the most fascinating races of the season so far. It's only the second round, and I'm saying that already, so that is going to be how good this race actually is. Amazing Hour, though, leading the championship standings on 30 points. Medium Pilot in second on 25. Perpetum in third on 22. Coming into tonight as well in terms of the constructors' standings, how are we going to see this race pan out? Just how have we seen qualifying pan out as well?
From terms of a constructor's point of view, you've got Ferrari looking pretty good. Carlsbury managing to get himself further up the order. I think he ended up 6th or 7th. In the end there. Williams not doing too bad. I think they might have hoped for a bit better, but with just how close the field is, you never quite know how it's going to go. But they've got Amazing Hour. We saw last week he can get the overtakes done. He'll keep it nice and clean. Chapelele on the alternate strategy. There's chances as well. I think it's safe to say Renault obviously had the worst qualifying, unfortunately for them, down in 19th and 20th. And just quickly reading through the Discord chat, it doesn't look like it was anything planned between them at that moment. Well, it wasn't planned, obviously, for them to get a 5-second penalty, but I don't think it was any attempts at a slipstream. I think it was just a bit of a miscommunication or a lack of communication, and they ended up coming together. So we'll have to see how this race goes for a few different teams. Mercedes up there as well. I am really excited, and this teamwork, in a way, it might hinder you. If you've got another teammate with you in the top 10, whoever's behind is probably going to have to stop out that one extra lap, and it might just cost themselves a chance in this race.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the tyre strategies in just a second, but Once again, we'll run you through that driver's standings, and certainly we'll focus on the top three. Amazing Arad on top on 30, Medium Pilot second on 25, Perpetuum in third on 22. Looking down the rest of the field as well, you've got everybody scoring points from last round down to Bullet Boy in 17th. Venoms, Recon and Schaffalelli will be hoping to pick up points. They'll be hoping not to give up as well out on track. And hopefully it's going to be a fascinating race out on track. And let's have a look then at the tyre graphic and the tyre strategies, I should say, out on track. Everyone, we've pretty much gone for 50-50 ratio, 50-50 split with Noon, Schaffalelli, Bullet Boy, Mashiro and Recon all on a set of medium compound tyres. Bullbeak, Combi, Kern, Venom and Armady all on a set of hard compound tyres. Tyre degradation around here is quite high. What can we expect?
Well, I think the good news for the drivers is it is going to be a bit better than qualifying, as you'll have just seen flashing up the screen there. It's 25 degrees track temperature, so it's slightly cooler than qualifying, where I think it was 27 degrees. Rain, the only rain in Bahrain is in the title. I think what we can see from the tyres is they're going to have to be careful. Most of them are going to try and go for the one-stop strategy, I feel. It always seems to be the way to go on this game, especially if you're starting outside the top 10. You might see someone in the lower stages of the top 10 maybe risk a two-stop strategy if they feel like they're really getting held up and they feel like they have got a lot of pace. But you're going to have to do a lot of overtaking for that to work. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind giving myself an extra bit of a challenge. But these drivers have got to be professional. They've got to think about the racing. Perpetuum has just got to think about, can he convert this second pole position in a row into his first win of the season?
Let's hope he can, as now the drivers begin to line up on the grid. We wait for the final cars to rejoin at the back. And there's Armady and the likes rejoining at the back of the field. Let me take you through then the start of this Sakhir Grand Prix, or Bahrain Grand Prix, at the Sakhir International Circuit. That's what I was supposed to say. But now the 5 red lights are about to go out for the second time this season in TTML Division 1. It is 5 red lights. Long hold, but it is light down, away we go. Medium Pilot got a really good first phase of the start, and Perpetuum is going to be under pressure. Down in towards Turn 1, Lemon and Mason now are going side by side further down the field as well. But Perpetuum leads down in towards Turn 1. Perpetuum's not giving up without a fight though. Venom's just trying to go all the way around the outside of Perpetuum. I think he has. Venom's is up into second. There's been a bit of contact. Amazing Hour has been spun. Been caught with Mashiro. Verstappen's been caught up in a bit of contact as well. Old Salter carnage further down the field. Great stop by Venom's, only up into second, but Medium Pilot leads 0.3 of a second for Venom's in second, Perpetuum in third, then Matthias in fourth, Laser in fifth, Lemon in sixth, Carsby seventh, Noon is up into eighth on a set of medium, Bullet Boy in ninth, Dubby in 10. Venom has got up into 14th position early on as well, but really good start as Laser's now dropping down the field. He's lost 2 positions, might have ran out wide, and Carsby and Lemon are now through, and they're up into 5th and 6th, but a great start by Medium Pilot. He is 6/10 clear of Venom's, who got a great start, and Perpetuum, all the way from that start, is down to third.
Yeah, I think it might have been more of Perpetuum getting a bit of a bad start. It looked for a second as though Venom was going to have a go into turn 1, and I think if Perpetuum hadn't win there, he'd have tried to have an attack on Medium Pilot, but he didn't manage to get through into turn 2. Such a shame for Bashiro. He's got massive front wing damage. He's going to have to come into the pits. It's very minor front wing damage as well for both of the Williams, Amazing Hour and Schappalele, but it should, in the situation they're in, it's definitely worth them carrying on at this moment in time. A dream start though there for Medium Pilot into the lead of this race. We'll see how he can do. We'll see how Venoms can do as well, because he wasn't really challenging the leaders last time around. Australia, maybe not a circuit that he enjoys too much. We'll see how it goes around Bahrain.
Enjoy the graphic switch to the left-hand side, everyone. Medium Pilot still leads the way from Perpetuum in behind. Venom's in third. There is Venom's in second, and Perpetuum there in third position. Mashiva was into the pit lane on the opening lap. Left side end plate damage, of course, to that car, so he's into the pit lane and will be back down at the back of the field once the graphics decide to fix themselves out on track. We're still right on board with the Perpetuum though, so I can keep my position. I can keep talking you through who's in what position out on track. Kern as well had a really poor start. There's a predicted pit stop strategy for Medium Pilot. Lap 7 to 9, lap 18 to 22 on a 2-stop strategy. The tyres tend to go off quite hard around here, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing pit stops around lap 7, lap 8 as Dobby on the back of Noon, and we've got a little bit of a train forming up in terms of Carlsbury all the way down, from Perpetuum all the way down, in fact, to Carlsbury.
Yeah, so one driver I think might now be thinking about that two-stop strategy is our championship leader and the winner of last race, Amazing Hour. He's down in 18th at the moment. He's going to find himself, with all due respect to everyone around, stuck behind cars that are just slightly slower than him. It's amazing to think of drivers that are about half a second slower than you as being back markers, but that's how close it is at this moment in time. So he might just think, pit early, get a bit of free air and see what I can do. It's already probably a bit damage limitation for him after what happened on that first lap. Medium pilot, he is checking out Seb Vettel at Red Bull style here. He's already broken that DRS window, and Venoms as well is nearly outside of DRS range of Perpetuum as well, so that could be really interesting. Shapalele in the background, he's up into 11th. He's got himself ahead of Volbeek, so maybe that slight damage on his front wing knocked a bit of drag off as well as downforce.
Yeah, Chapelletti through and he's up into 11th on a set of mediums. Volbeek, of course, on a set of hards. And Recon on a set of mediums just in behind as well as they run up the hill in towards turn 4. Don't think we're going to see any moves getting done up towards turn 4, but Volbeek's on the back of Chapelletti, looking in behind as well. Dobby had a good start. Let's have a look at the position changes as well out on track. There they are on the screen for you right now. 5 positions gained for Venom, 4 positions gained for the likes of Armady and Bullet Boy, who's had a really good start as well. But chief losers, Amazing Hour and Verstappen, down 11 and 9 positions respectively, and that was because, I think, of turn 1 contact between them both.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just trying to work out how that could have actually happened. With Amazing Hour, you would have expected him to be quite a bit ahead of Verstappen. He'd have been 4 places ahead, so whether it's just been a slight lock-up, whether it's just 2 completely separate incidents, so Amazing Hour was involved in an incident with someone else, and then Verstappen, unfortunately for him, got collected. We'll have to wait and see. We'll see if the stewards have anything to say about that. But lap 1, normally you do get incidents, and it is quite a tricky turn 1 here. Quite a, well, really heavy braking zone into that first corner around this circuit, and the way it sort of meanders through 2 and 3 as well. Sometimes incidents can happen through that entire starting point. Dobby, just noticed, really closing up to the back of XL Noon here. Still got a bit of grip in those soft tyres and still able to work his way up into 8th position at this moment in time. And there we go, Amazing Hour is coming into the pits. He's fully committing to a 2-stop strategy and to get himself a fresh front wing.
Noon's got a really good run on Dobby as well, coming out of turn 3, and now Noon is going to repay the favour. Back he goes through, up into P8, as Dobby will try and switch it to the left-hand side, but not quite. Noon is through, and then it's like Midnight, honestly, out on track rather than Noon, but he is through, and he's up into 8th, and Perpetuum right on the back of Venoms. Venom's really struggling for that tyre grip, and now Perpetuum really on the charge behind the Greek out on track. But Medium Pilot leads by nearly 2 seconds now out on track. The more Venoms holds up Perpetuum, the more that Matthias, then Lemon and Carlsbury will come into play. And looking at the DRS trend, it spans all the way down to unlucky 13th where Recon is.
Yes, Venom's just not able to quite help Venom out in 14th and get him into the DRS zone at the moment. Nooms, you've got to say, is looking pretty good in that 8th position on the medium tyres, and if Volbeek can just about hang on to the back of everyone else, he's going to be lightning quick at the end of the race on a set of soft tyres, maybe already thinking about getting that bonus point. Perpetuum, he looks quick though. He needs to get this move done as soon as possible. He's going to have the DRS. He's right underneath the rear wing of Venom's here, and I don't think there's going to be a lot that Mercedes can do. We didn't see a lot of Ferrari overtaking Mercedes in 2020, but we're going to see one at the start of 2021. Oh, a bit of contact there in the braking zone. Perpetuum moving across ever so slightly, and he wasn't quite fully ahead of Venom's. That could have had disastrous consequences for the pair of them. Thankfully, they get through cleanly, and that is the Ferrari back up into 2nd place.
Yeah, really good move there from Perpetuum. I think he just tried to move across. There was a little bit of contact. He was in the process of moving across. I think he didn't realise that Venoms was entirely out of his zone, essentially, out on track. But Perpetuum, funny enough, had the full car ahead, had the job done. He just moved across. A little bit of contact, nothing more, nothing less. Simple as that. Lemon on the back of Matthias as well. This is the point where I've got to love you and leave you for a second, but I will ride on board with Lemon on the back of Matthias for 5th position.
Yeah, you can just see the effect of the DRS train at this moment in time here. Lemon can't really do too much at the moment. He's just got to sort of sit back, try and be patient at the moment, and we'll see if Venoms is really struggling with a lot of pace at the moment. You can see from the timing board he is dropping back ever so slightly from Perpetuum, or whether it was just being at the front of the train, not having the DRS around a circuit where I'd say probably only Austria rivals it in terms of how powerful the DRS can be around here with those 3 straights. So we'll see if there's any overtakes towards the front of the field at the moment. Matthias is in that sort of Mercedes sandwich at the moment. Is the Red Bull meet in the middle of it, and Lemon just getting a bit of a bad exit there, coming out of the final corner, not able to take advantage. Matthias, he's closing up to the back of Venoms, but can't do anything. Further back in the background, Dobby getting ahead of Noon again, so it does look like Dobby's got still decent straight line speed, at least on that first straight. I don't think Noon's able to take advantage this time, so there's going to be Bullet Boy all over the back of him as well. There are position changes happening throughout the field at the moment, and that is definitely a good thing to see. And Volbeek there just working his way ahead of Recon. Further up the field as well then, Medium Pilot's in an ideal situation at the moment. He's in the free air, he's in the lead of this race. He doesn't have to worry too much about what is happening behind him. Perfection, 2 seconds behind. He's got that long train, so he can't really afford to make a mistake. But of course, being in that long train, anyone who wants to go for an overtake can't really afford to do anything about it, because if they make a slight mistake, that is pretty much, well, it could well be game over for them. They could drop a long way down the order. All the battling between XL Noon and the two Hassers, though, has created a slight bit of a gap. So Dobby's actually dropped off the back of Lasers more than a second, just breaking up that train ever so slightly. So Noon might have a chance in the DRS, but it does look as though Dobby just seems to get a better exit out of the corner every single lap at this moment in time. Lemon, Matthias, Venom, Perpetuum in that reverse order, coming around the final corner now to start lap 7, and we're already seeing some pit stop. That is Venom's coming into the pits at the end of lap 6. That is a pretty early pit stop, and he's going onto the soft tyres. That is a full commitment, of course, to the 2-stop strategy. See where he comes out then after his pit stop. Venoms is going to be... He's going to be in clear air. At least that is good news for him. He can use those soft tyres. Soft, medium will be the strategy that he's going for. And I'd imagine coming in at the end of lap 6, he'll be going to around lap 14 or 15. As the fuel burns off, you'll get more life out of these tyres. As, of course, you haven't done any laps in qualifying on these, you'll get a bit more life out of the tyres as well. And further up, Matthias, he's now dropped outside of DRS range, so will that give Lemon a chance this time around to maybe get himself onto the podium? Or will we see a few more of these drivers come into the pits? Has Venoms just lit the touch paper to get everyone else to start coming into the pits and maybe think about changing to that 2-stop strategy from the 1-stop that they were on earlier? It's going to be a fascinating race here. Laser in 6th. Noon did actually manage to work his way back ahead of Dommy. He is now in 7th. Bullet Boy 9th. Shapalele 10th. And obviously still Medium Pilot in the lead of this race. Still doing a pretty good job at the moment. And soon we will be able to tell you, once Venoms has done a full lap, we'll be able to tell you what it's looking like in terms of the tyre advantage at the moment. Medium Pilot staying out. Perpetuum deciding to stay out as well. In fact, most of the soft runners, apart from that is a Laser coming into the pit, gets it slowed down in time. So he's another driver who looks as though he might be committing to that 2-stop strategy. And Dobby seems to have dropped a long way back as well. He's dropped behind Bullet Boy and Shapalele. Has the Haas driver made a mistake somewhere out on circuit at this moment in time? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, he has. Dobby has made a mistake. He spun the rears, I think, coming out of turn 15, lost position to Bullet Boy and to Shapalele as well. So those softs clearly beginning to go off. But look, Volbeek on a fresh set of hards, challenging Recon and Combi right on the back of Venom. Venoms, in the meantime, though, is in 16th position. He's on a set of soft compound tyres. There's Combi as well, the German, right on the back of the Scotsman in front. Can Venom try and fight out the attention for 14th? At least we haven't got a scenario like last week where we had Venoms and Venom battling it out, because goodness me, it'll just be like a hell house on fire. Honestly, amazing hour. And Verstappen are going top by side up the hill and towards turn 4. Verstappen now switches it back. Can he get the run in towards the S section? No, he can't, because Amazing Hour is through on that fresh set of mediums, and he's through and he's up into 18th.
Yeah, pretty decent lap there from Amazing Hour. I know you said Venom and Venoms might not be battling too much at the moment. With the pace Venoms is showing on the fresh soft tyres and the fact that MCR Venom will be staying out for a long time on the hards, it's probably only going to be about 2 or 3 laps before they are out on circuit once more. Most of the drivers seem to be trying to stretch these soft tyres quite long and going for that 1-stop strategy. Venom's clearly felt that he was just stuck in too much traffic, and it was worth trying something different. The thing is, if he catches up to those ahead of him that are on the hards, as Dobby now comes into the pits and Bullet Boy gets past XL Noon, if Venoms gets stuck in a lot of traffic, this strategy really doesn't work. He's got to hope that he catches up to the cars one by one and doesn't find himself in these DRS trains again. And you can just see there, fastest lap of the race, 1:28 28.346. Only 4 tenths faster, actually, than medium pilot. Oh, no, sorry, 4 tenths faster than medium pilot's last lap. A whopping 2 seconds faster than medium pilot's last lap last time around, and everyone else. So Venom's surely he's going to be net leader of this race once everyone else pits.
He probably will be, but he's got to be committed on a two-stop strategy with him going onto another set of soft compounder tyres. He has got to be committed to that two-stop, and he can go mediums right at the end of the race. While medium pilot will also go mediums, he could be within a fresher point out on track Venoms to try and get those tyres towards the end of the race. Can't be trying to get onto the back of Venom in the meantime. Let's have a look, though, at Bullet Boy, who's mincing his way through the field now. There might be a little bit of lag coming from his end, but honestly, Bullet Boy is really getting on well in this race. I said he might be a lively contender tonight. He is certainly proving that. He's on a set of mediums and chasing down Carlsbury. Carlsbury, of course, who was leading in CWC, I think, last night. Not sure how the outcome was, but Carlsbury was leading in CWC last night. Medium pilot, though, Perpetum, has stayed out. Carlsbury is in, and Lemon is in as well. And now, Bullet Boy is going to try and get the move done, but more immediately, Schiaparelli is going to try and get the move done on Noon, running down in towards turn 1, but not quite close enough. The German on the back of the Brit, literally like League of Europe all over again, as Volby, just in behind, gets the move done down in towards turn 1 on recon, and he's through, and he's up into 6th, as Bullet Boy now has a great run up the hill in towards turn 4, but he's not going to be close enough, and Recon is going to fight back at Volby. I don't know where to turn with the action as Recon goes into the back. Oh, Volbeek, no damage suffered to that car. Carlsbury's just picked up the first 3-second time penalty of the night as well. Bullet Boy, though, is hassling Carlsbury, who is really holding up the back of Bullet Boy Noon here.
Yes, and it could get a bit worse as well, at least for Carlsbury. He's got the penalty. He's going to have to stay out one more lap on those soft tyres. He is not going to be enjoying them next time around. A Bullet Boy is going to be desperate to get past. He might even be able to do it into turn 11 here. In fact, he's done it a long way before turn 11. I think Carlsbury realised there was absolutely no point of getting involved in that battle. They are on 2 different races at the moment, and that is Carlsbury now down into 3rd position. Perpetuum just going a bit longer on those soft tyres than Medium Pilot, who unsurprisingly went into the hard tyres, and you can see there the gap between Medium Pilot and Venoms. 4.2 seconds.
Carlsbury's got a puncture! Carlsbury's got a puncture! Left front tyre! His left front has exploded and he's gone into the back of Schiaparelli. Schiaparelli nearly spun round, but Carlsbury's got a puncture. Saw it on the task system first rather than in real life. Carlsbury, left side puncture on that front left, eventually got there. Left side puncture, and that is unfortunate, and he's been held by his teammates as well to pet him into the pit lane. He has to come in. Luckily, he hasn't been held up that much, to be honest, Carlsbury. He can now go on his merry way, and was held up, I think, in the pit lane as Lemon and Laser are now going side by side, running down the straight. Here comes the German on the back. He's going to be they're going to be just around Medium Pilot sort of Perpetuum sort of area, I should say. Perpetuum out of the pit lane, just in behind these guys, but Lemon through on Laser, and he's through and he's into 12th.
Wow, it just shows you how much Carlsbury... I think part of that was just because he was stuck in traffic a lot more than his teammate. It just shows you how much difference it makes with the tyre wear. And as you said, we can see it on the TAS system. At the moment, those on the medium tyres are on about 50% at the moment for Bullet Boy's front left and 53 for his rear left. And as a clockwise circuit, those are the tyres that take the biggest hammering around here. So he's got a few more laps to do. And then you'd imagine we're going on to the hard tyres towards the end. They'll be slightly fresher than some of those around him. He's going to need an absolute miracle, an absolute deft touch to try and get them long enough to go onto the set of the soft tyres, but I have seen it tried before. More often than not, though, it can end up in a puncture, similar to what Carlsbury's got. And I'm going to be honest, I think that's one of the first times I've ever seen someone actually get a puncture this early in the race. You normally see it in the later stints when drivers are just trying to get to the end. We know this game, once you get to about 70%, it can be just a bit random as Bullet Boy comes into the pits very early off a set of medium tyres. Carlsbury, fortunately for him, the RNG gods were not with him then, picking up that front left corner and having to do a double stack and getting a pit lane speeding penalty. Really, safe to say the final half of that lap might have ruined his race.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate, I think, for Carlsbury, honestly. Bullet Boy's gone into a set of hard compounder tyres, by the way. We're on board, though, with Matthias, trying to chase down out on track. Well, I find him Laser down in towards someone very late on the brakes. There was Matthias, and he's now fighting out for P12 and P13 out on track. That won't become P12 and 13 because they've got Lemon and Medium Pilot and Venom's ahead. So this is actually for net P4, P5 out on track perhaps between these guys, as Lemon has set the new fastest lap of the race out on track. But Matthias on that 2-lap pressure tyres not close enough. They've got Papetum and Bullet Boy closing in as well. Carlsbury still with that first 3-second time penalty of the night. The only one. Really surprised nobody else has picked up a 3-second time penalty tonight. But Verstappen trying to chase down Amazing Hour, who was trying to get into contention, might go on to a set of softs towards the end of the race, if you can get those tyres that long. Noon and Schiaparelli, 0.5 of a second though, is the gap between the lead, and these two old League of Europe Division 1 rivals are going to go at it once again.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see now if Bullet Boy's pit stop, if that's going to trigger anyone else coming into the pits a bit earlier. I'd have thought lap 12, lap 13, to be honest, for the medium runners. So there we go. And Noon comes into the pits, so Schiaparelli, perhaps unsurprisingly, doing the opposite there. Volbeck deciding to stay out. Now, of course, he's on the hard tyres. His question is, do I try and stretch him out that little bit longer? Get onto the set of softs at the end. He's not doing too bad at the moment. He's still below 50% on all his tyres, so that looks very possible. Or do I push a bit harder and accept that I'm going to be off the mediums and maybe just not have that lightning pace all of a sudden? One of the Mercedes drivers there, well, now Carlsbury sets the fastest lap of the race with a 127 point.
Papetum, sorry, nearly went into the back of Matthias. So late on the brakes, he nearly went into the back. Lemon's fighting side by side with Medium Pilot as well, running down in towards turn 4. It's literally gone 0 to 100 in about 2 seconds there, honestly. Papetum nearly into the back of Matthias there, and so unfortunate for the German. He's lost the position to Bullet Boy. Matthias got through on later, so he got the move done. He's up into 11. Sorry to cut across you there, Luke, but Papetum just so late on the brakes, nearly went into the back of Matthias.
I wonder if that's just DRS effect and countless slipstreams up ahead of him all of a sudden. And of course, getting used to these hard tyres, because this is one of the first laps he's been out on track on that. It's only lap 2, I think. Well, it was the second time he'd gone in at full speed into turn 1, and maybe just still getting to the grip ever so slightly. So perhaps, given the benefit of the doubt there, it's very easily done to go so late on the brakes, but it has cost him some places, and Bullet Boy will have fresher tyres than him. Crucially though for Venoms and Lemon, they're on the soft tyres obviously, but they are 1-2 out of those that have pitted, so they're in the position they would want to be at the moment. They've got free air, they can still try and push those tyres as much as possible towards the end. Recon comes in towards the pits. Still see Medium Pilot though, 4 seconds ahead of anyone else on the hard tyres, looking very good at the moment to take this race victory.
As long as he can stay within that second, I think, of Lemon, he could try and be dragged along onto the back of Venoms later on out on track. So Lemon is going to try and hold the key card, really, to Medium Pilot trying to get the win out on track tonight. He is in a really promising position. I'm a D now fighting out with Kern, running down in towards 6 and 7, and then down in towards turn 8 out on track. Schiaparelli leading for Volbeek second, Cohen in third. Just to come on with Schiaparelli's damage as well, he's got 6% damage on that front left end plate. So 6% damage. It's light green on our screen, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of a journey round. 63% as well, his tyres. His rear left, actually, is looking the worst out of the 4 compound of tyres that he's got on, or the 4 tyres that he's got on that car. 70%. That rear left. We saw Carlsbury get a puncture. I'm sure Schiaparelli's going to come into the pit lane this lap, surely.
Yeah, surely he will. I mean, Schiaparelli, he's done a decent job. He has had that damage since lap 1, and I'll be very surprised now if he's going to go into the pits to... Well, I'll be very surprised if he comes into the pits to change that front wing. I don't think it's going to be worth the time you'd lose, the time you'd gain with the extra downforce. He is coming into the pits, so it is now just those that started on the hard tyres, Volbeek, Cohen, Imedy, Venom and Combi, that are staying out on track at the moment, and they could have a bit of a say in this race depending on when Venoms and Lemon and Medium Pilot perhaps catch up to the back of them.
You're right about the no front wing change. Schiaparelli into the pit lane. No front wing being changed, and he's going to fall in right in the queue where Carlsbury, where Noon is. And Noon's chasing down Carlsbury down in towards turn 1. Here comes the Red Bull down the inside of the Ferrari, trying to repay what happened just a lap ago. He's run wide though, and Carlsbury all the way around the outside gets the move redone. Schiaparelli now is under pressure from Dobby just in behind as well. So the Haas and the Williams going side by side, and now Noon has got a tremendous run on Carlsbury, running down the inside. Can he get the move done? A little bit of contact there with the curb from Carlsbury, but he's run that all the way around the outside. Great defensive move there from Carlsbury. He's on a fresh set of softs, but he's really fighting hard. But Noon on that fresh set of hards is really trying to put him at his own game. Schiaparelli and Dobby, as I say, not too far away either. Venom is on the back of his teammate further up the field, as well as Bullet Boy on the back of Laser. And in fact, Venom has now gone through on Imedy, and he's up into third position. Probably a bit of a let through though, I think, from one Renault to another.
Yeah, always makes sense. Might as well work together at the moment just to try and stay on the back of Cohen. And
my God, Lemon had nearly spun coming through turn 12. He was trying to get through on Venom, or Venoms, I should say, who was letting him through turn 11 and 12. Who on earth let somebody through turn 11 and 12? That's absolutely unbelievable. Lemon just got caught completely on the curb. He had to move done. Venoms is into the pit lane on that set of soft compounded tyres, so it comes to show how long they're going to go. Lemon then is now up into P3, but Medium Pilot is only a second and a half away.
Yeah, he is. He's doing a very good job at the moment. He's just got to hope that he's not pushing the tyres too much. And considering you've got Laser, Dobby and Verstappen who are going to try and go slightly longer on those hard tyres, you'd imagine he'd be safe at the end of the race. But I'd have thought Carlsbury would have been safe trying to stretch soft tyres 10 laps. So there you go. You can always get caught out. And Venoms now comes out in last place. Well, last but one, sorry, with Machero quite a long way off the back of the field, who's having a tough evening. That's the problem with the two-stop strategy. In a field this close, you're not going to find them time gaps. And he's really going to have to work hard to push his way up the order. In fact, he's behind. He's behind Cohen, he's behind Venom, he's behind Combi, who went on the one-stop after starting on the hard tyres. Afraid to say that strategy hasn't worked out, and Lemon and Carlsbury being on the same strategy as well, they're going to find it really difficult to even get in the top 10 here.
The only advantage, I think, for them is Amazing Hour is going to get out of the way sooner rather than later because he's got an 11 lap on that set of medium compound of tyres. Kern there in 16th with Venom just in behind him out on track as well. Venom's has got clear air, but clear air around this track is not a godsend at all. It's a bit of a disadvantage, I think, to be honest, because he's now 2.8 seconds behind Combi. But the only advantage is Volbeat comes into the pit lane from the lead of the race. Venom has got to try and push onto the back of Combi, onto the back of Venom, but he's got to do so where they're not fighting just ahead of him out on track, because that is going to be the telling factor out on track. Volbeat and Armady both into the pit lane, onto a set of mediums they go. I'm going to go more immediately on board though with Laser, who is right on the back now of Matthias and has got Bullet Boy, Perpetum and Carlsbury to play with as well, as now Bullet Boy is going to try and have a run on Laser. They're not going to be close enough down in towards turn 4. But Recon might be on the back of Volbeat, who just came out the pit lane, and Volbeat and Recon are now going to have a fight. Can Volbeat get 12-13 laps out on that set of mediums, though?
Oh, comfortably, I think. And he'll still have pretty good pace at the moment as the two QVR boys and Venom in the background actually battling with Verstappen there. I think there was a bit of an orchestrated swap around there, and that's not gone well. Venom now with the front wing damage. You've got Combi down the inside of Verstappen there. He's going to find himself getting squeezed on the apex, and that's a bit more front wing coming off of Venom there. That is not the cleanest moves we've ever seen. And further up ahead, you've got Cohen and Recon battling side by side. It's been a very eventful half a lap from the Alfa Romeos at the moment. Recon pretty much giving Cohen not much room whatsoever, but he's able to just go around the outside on that bit of tarmac. Fantastic move. That's how much grip the medium tyres have got at the moment. Volbeat and Cohen, 11th and 12th, they're going to sail up to the back of Chapalele, Noon and Dobby. You'd imagine Carlsbury will be getting out of the way shortly as Lemon comes into the pits as well. They could still get some pretty good results in this race. It's like you said a few seconds ago. If they get stuck in with DRS trains, if they catch the cars up at the wrong point, we've already seen that's going to be very difficult to overtake, as Venom is going to have to come into the pits again. He's only done one lap on those medium tyres. Not an ideal race for the Renault driver.
Combi's going to go side by side with Verstappen, and in fact, as we ride on board, he's already through on Verstappen and he's down in towards turn 1 in front. Recon tries to dive a late lunge down on Kern just in front of him, but Kern really trying to find a really good pace, and he's just pulled away from Recon just in the blinking of an eye. You wouldn't think that Kern has got 9% fresher tyres than Recon just ahead of him. Recon, though, has just picked up a 3-second time penalty out on track. Venom and Chapalele have also picked up penalties out on track as well. Venom into the pit lane is now going to be down in plumb last position. But I've got to be honest, well done to everyone for still continuing on. All 20 drivers, if we go towards lap 19 here with 11 laps to go, are still running in this race. Absolutely phenomenal job, everyone.
Yes, fantastic for everyone. We've seen a few bits of contact, everyone carrying on, because you know you can get points all the way down to P19, and Venom at the moment is going to try everything to not be that one driver to end up getting nil fall from this race. Even Carlsbury could be under a bit of threat of being in that situation, although I think sticking in this DRS train's helping him slightly, because those soft tyres will be getting past their best at the moment. It won't be too long before he's going to want to come into the pits, I'd imagine, and get himself on a nice fresher set of the medium tyres. He's the only driver that still has to come into the pits again. Matthias, I think he's slightly holding up these drivers, and I don't want to say that's because of his pace. That could just be because of DRS situation at the moment, as there has been some overtakes further down the field. Combi getting ahead of Recon, and Recon's going to try and come straight back at him down the inside into turn 1. That has not worked out, and the Racing Point is going to have DRS as well off of Cohen up ahead. So these medium runners are slowly starting to work their way up through the field.
Venom's run on the back as well of Verstappen, who lost the position to Imad. So Imad through up to 14th and all of that. Verstappen down into 15th, and Verstappen will be hoping to try somehow to get those tyres towards the end of the race. But now look at Venom's right on the back of Verstappen. He dives it down the inside. Mercedes against Alfa Romeo. Can the Mercedes get the move done? Just about, but Verstappen is still there. They're now going to run side by side in towards turn 10. Please look away now. But luckily, no contact made as Verstappen still in 15th. Venom's in 16th. Lemon right on the back, and Venom's got a tremendous run down the inside. And look at Recon. Sorry, that's Imad trying to go for the move on Recon just ahead. But Venom's now down the inside line of Verstappen. He's going to be bullied out of position by both Mercedes, possibly. As now Lemon is going to try and fight all the way around the outside. 3 wide into 12. 12 doesn't really go. They still made it through somehow. And now Lemon trying to fight it on Verstappen all the way around the outside. Verstappen does not know when to give up without a fight. But now, Lemon takes him off track. He has to give up that position, Shooty. That was an off-track move, and he does give up the position. Oh, there's contact! And that's typical. Then Lemon let Verstappen through. There's contact, and unfortunately, it's off. Oh, and Imad and Recon have came into contact as well.
I think, well, when we saw the 3 wide, I was pretty much thinking, yeah, here comes our first retirement. Somehow it didn't end up in that at that point, but later on in the straight, it all kicked off. Recon and Imad coming together as there does come our first retirement of the race. Verstappen again with Lemon. I'm not sure if there was a bit of Verstappen there just moving again in the braking zone, or Lemon turning in a bit too early for the corner. Recon out on the soft tyres, so he might be getting the fastest lap in the free air at the moment. It all kicked off at that back of the field, and I said it'd be the end of the race when we'd start seeing some of this fun happening with the different strategies. Someone who is making it work though, and I've said it earlier, Volve, he's now in 9th position on those medium tyres. He'll get himself ahead of Carlsberg as Venom's retired from the session as well. Both Reynolds out of the race. They were last in qualifying, and they're the two first cars to retire from this race. Thankfully, though, we won't get a safety car. Would have been nice to see them carry on, but kind of see why the frustration would have started to kick in. This is going to be a really interesting end to the race because Volbe's looking quick. We know Carlsberg's got to pit at this moment in time. Cohen, Combi, Venoms and Lemon, we know the two Mercedes were extremely quick all race at the moment. Nobody wanted to get up ahead.
Here comes Pavetum on the back of Matthias for second, and Chapelletti's going to get Bullet Boy as well. There's going to be 2 moves down into towards. Come on, Chapelletti's way too late on the brakes. Goes careering into the back of Laser. Somehow, he has still got that damage on that left side end plate, but still, he cannot find a way through on Bullet Boy. Pavetum, though, is through on Matthias. That's the more important thing out of that. So Pavetum through him into second. Chapelletti tried to go down the inside. He had to move down on Bullet Boy. Fair enough. He just outbroke himself going through the corner. Contact the back of Laser, and now he's back behind Bullet Boy, so he's got to do it all over again.
Yeah, I think that was one of them moves from Chapelletti. It works absolutely fantastically if you're not in a train. If you are in a train, you've got to think, where's the car ahead of the car I'm trying to pass going to be when I'm hitting the apex of the corner? Unfortunately for Chapelletti, he was just in the way of where he wanted to be. Medium Pilot's just got to keep it nice and clean now. He's 6 seconds ahead. Just manage the tyres, keep it nice and careful, and he's not doing too bad on the tyres at the moment. He's on 41% after 10 laps, so he's going to be heading into the high 60s, low 70s by the end of the race at a slight risk of a puncture, but you wouldn't expect it too much in a normal situation. Laser has got to be careful at the end of this race, I think. He could find himself dropping down the field. And Carlsberg, he's done that same amount of laps on the soft tyres as he did earlier. So I think we'll be seeing the Ferrari get out of this train this lap around. Otherwise, you might find it getting very tricky again. And indeed, we do just see the red car move over to the right-hand side of the track. So he'll be coming a long way down the order, but he'll be on mediums. And he'll be looking pretty quickly as well. Now, can Matthias try and have a go back at Perpetual game? Because the Ferrari hasn't really got away on that lap, so that does suggest that it was just Matthias not having the DRS is why that train was gaining behind him, not a lack of pace.
Duel in the desert as well. Lemon down the inside of Venoms. These two are going to have a fight, and this is good. And this is a duel in the desert like Hamilton and Rosberg back in 2014. And now Venoms is going to come back at Lemon, running up towards turn 4. Both Mercedes with no points on the line here tonight, or certainly no points scored from last round in Australia. Lemon and Venoms are going to battle like their heart is content. Honestly, Recon, new fastest lap of the race, 27.3. Note of that Carlsbury, by the way, pitted on 75% on that front left tyre. So got quite close, to be honest, out on track. Recon has now moved through on Mashiro, who's really struggling tonight. Mashiro in 18th. Recon now through up to 17th. I think that was a bit of a let-through. Medium pilot that was pulling away from Papetin still. It was 5.5 seconds the last time I looked. It's now 6.2. And Papetin, just in behind him out on track, has got to try and find a big response. He's got a lap fresher tyres. In turn of that, it's about 6% on that front left. He has got, in comparison to medium pilot, fresher than the car ahead. But the tyres, Laser, Bullet Boy, Schiaparelli, Noon, Volbeek, all chomping at the bit to try and get a move done. And this has just been a constant DRS strain throughout the race. As now Volbeek is going to try and get the move done on Noon. Is he going to think about it down in towards turn 1? The Dutchman on the back of the Brit. He dives it down the inside. Goes Volbeek on Noon. Can he get the move done? Kern and Combi are fighting just in behind shot as well. Noon still side by side with Volbeek, and now they'll make a little bit of contact with Volbeek. Tries to get the run up in towards turn 4. He's on the inside line. Noon on the outside line now. Volbeek down the inside line. He's barely got the car ahead. Noon trying to fight it around the outside, but great stuff by Volbeek. He is through and he's up into P7. If there's any move that you can appreciate on tonight, it's that one there. Volbeek through, clean driving between them both. Up he goes into 7th.
Isn't this pretty much what, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't this pretty much what Volbeek did last week in Australia? Just doing something different on that alternate strategy. Last week he got himself a 5th position. With Schiaparelli's penalty at the moment, he's on for 6th position. And who says he won't be able to pull off a similar move on Noon as well? He might just need another lap just to replenish his ERS stocks ever so slightly. He's down at about 30% at this moment in time, so might need a bit extra compared to Schiaparelli to try and make that move at the moment. He's looking really good, and his tyres will be in good condition towards the end of the race. It's crucial, though, that he gets the moves done sooner rather than later. That tyre advantage, with delta between the two tyres, as the hards wear less, just shrinks slightly every single lap. And by the end of the race, he'll probably be on equal pace tyres to those ahead of him. Betcham has broken away from Matthias ever so slightly, obviously still in DRS range at the moment. Everyone else getting very close, looking like they could go for a dive bomb if they weren't stuck in this train. Schiaparelli does think about it down the inside there. That was a late decision. Bullet Boy gets away with that one. Is that going to leave Schiaparelli vulnerable to the McLaren behind, though?
I think it's got a tremendous run, though, on the back of Bullet Boy, running up in towards turn 4. Can he get the move done? No, he can't. He just falters in behind, or follows through, I should say, in behind. Volbeek in 7th, just in behind as well. Carlsbury is through on Verstappen, who's came into the pit lane to go onto a set of medium compounded tyres. He can make a set of softs go towards the end of the race for 6 laps, try and get the fastest lap of the race, but not quite. Recon and Mashiro are still down at the back of the field, but in the meantime, medium pilot still leading. Papetin 2nd, Matthias 3rd, Laser 4th, Bullet Boy 5th, Schiaparelli 6th, Volbeek in 7th, Noon in 8th. Volbeek is running all over the back. I think he's just caught these guys, honestly, at the wrong time. He's on fresher tyres, slightly fresher tyres than Schiaparelli, but he's on fresher tyres certainly from 5th. Oh, but on! Schiaparelli spun! Schiaparelli has spun really, really heavily. Lost it through turn 11, and so unfortunate. That is Schiaparelli's luck once again coming back to haunt him. And Schiaparelli now gets out of the way of Kern, gets out of the way of Combi. It was looking like a great race until that point, and then he spun it through turn 11, and he just dropped it by himself.
Whether that was just a pressure from Volbeek, knowing that McLaren is slightly bit faster and a bit heavier on the throttle, whether he was a bit closer to Bullet Boy than the lap before, so the dirty air had a bigger effect, I'm not quite sure, but such a shame then for Schiaparelli. A bit of a strange place, like halfway through the corner as well, where that car all of a sudden went, he's into the pits. He's got a chance of putting a set of soft tyres on and going towards the end and setting a quick lap, although I think the reason why we didn't see Verstappen go into the soft tyres is I think he started on them, so whether he just didn't have enough laps left and he wanted a fresh set of tyres, whereas Schiaparelli was outside the top 10, can put the softs on and we'll still get some consolation points and maybe one extra for the fastest lap as well. That's one car out of the way of Volbeek. We'll now see if he can attack Bully Boy at all, which could help if Laser just starts dropping back, as I'd expect him to do.
Yeah, looking at the tyres, I think, for Volbeat compared to Bullet Boy as well, 35% compared to 49%. So he's got about 14% better off tyres, but he's in that DRS train, and the DRS train will just nullify absolutely anything out on track. I can't believe we are now 4 laps away, pretty much, from the end of this race. It's Medium Pilot who leads by 6.2 seconds from Petem in second, Matthias third, Laser in fourth, and Bullet Boy in fifth. But let's just focus on the leader. We've hardly mentioned him, and I think it's a good reason we've hardly mentioned him, because he's just been so dominant once again, and because of Amazing Hour's poor performance and that contact at lap 1, he, down in 14th, Petem is going Medium Pilot is going to take the lead of the championship.
Yeah, he's just pretty much been out on his own ever since that first pit stop. He pitted slightly earlier than some of those around him, slightly later than the two Mercedes. Just seemed to come out in a lot of free air. Has just driven his own race at the moment and hasn't really had to worry too much, whereas Perpetuum and everyone else in this train has been constantly battling and constantly trying to get ahead of people. And you've even got XL New not too far off the back of this train all of a sudden. Laser and Dobby will be slightly worried about their tyres, trying to get them towards the end, and looking at Dobby as well. He's actually got the yellow fuel light on, so he might be slightly worried about his fuel usage towards the end of this race. He's currently 0.13 laps above what he needs to be. He needs to save about 0.13 laps of fuel. Might not be able to afford to save it too much though, because you'll have Cohen, Combi and the two Mercedes breathing down his neck in a few laps time.
You will do indeed, and Dobby, looking at his tyres, 72% on that front left. Is that a sign of things to come, possibly a possible puncture coming his way? Laser, I think, can get to the end of the race. He's on 66% on that front left, so I think Laser's fine. I think Dobby is the one we're going to have to watch out for possible puncture out on track, but Medium Pilot has pulled away. 6.7 seconds now the gap. Look at Matthias, though, on the back of Petem, trying to hunt him down with 3 laps to go out on track. Volbeat as well. We're right on board now with Volbeat, running on the back of Bullet Boy. Let's get everything off. Let's get the halo up as well as we run now down in towards turn 1, but Volbeat trying to catch, but Bullet Boy is catching Laser just ahead of him out on track as well. Nobody, I don't think, going for a move down in towards turn 1, and pretty much we was as we are, so that was pretty useless, I think, trying to go on board with Volbeat there, but he's going to try and get onto the back of Bullet Boy out on track. It's Medium Pilot, though, who still leads. Combi, though, has got a tremendous run coming out of turn 3, but Kern, with that DRS, has just pulled away once again, and we're still going to get 2 Mercedes battling, I think, Lemon and Venoms.
Yes, Combi actually managed to get ahead of Cohen and then backed off, I think, just to make sure that he was in that DRS train. As our Recon has had another spin, and Bullet Boy and Volbeat like nearly coming together. Has Laser got a puncture, or has Laser just made a mistake somewhere? That's closed everything up. I think Bullet Boy's having a bit of lag here, and Volbeat might be able to go all the way around the outside. Laser's now dropped outside of DRS range, so that's Volbeat up into 5th place, and I can't imagine his teammate's going to put up too much of a fight here. Volbeat dives down the inside. That was very optimistic. That's now going to give Bullet Boy a fantastic run here. He just can't quite get alongside. That pretty much probably settles it, though, for the top 3 in this race.
It pretty much does, I think. Laser, I think, lagged because of Bullet Boy. There was a bit of lag just going on between them all, I think, out on track. And Laser lagged nearly into the back of Volbeat to the extent where we nearly got damage out on track. Bullet Boy really much lagging out on track as well. That's his Virgin Media Wi-Fi, I think, kicking in there out on track. But now Volbeat on his teammate running down in towards turn 1. Let's see what the Brit can. Let's see what the Dutchman can do. Can the Brit put up a good defence? No, he can't, because Volbeat gets through and he's into P4, and he now can try and hunt down Matthias. Nothing is said and done in Formula 1, and Volbeat might have a slight squeak to try and run at Matthias on the final lap and a half of this race. Combi's got a great run as well on Kern, and Kern is going to be under pressure from Combi down in towards turn 4. Can the Racing Point dive it? He can't. Kern fighting out for 8th. Look at this though, 5-car train. Dobby dropping all the way down as well. I think he had a spin, actually, or slight spin of the curb coming through the S section, which is why we saw slight yellow flags, and now he's got Lemon diving down the inside of him, and Lemon has got the car stopped. What a move that is by Lemon. He's doing the 10.
Yeah, good move there by Lemon. He knows he doesn't want to be held behind Dobby, who was, at this moment in time, he's just trying everything to get his tyres and his fuel to the end of the race. Now he's been passed by Venoms, he's just got to slow it right down and treat these with kid gloves. Treat it as though there's ice everywhere on this circuit. Recon, I think, is going for another fastest lap of the race, which might work if he doesn't get lapped by Medium Pilot. Volbeek 1.5 seconds behind Matthias. It's too far behind, I think. He needed to be within DRS range going on to this final lap. He's going to find it very difficult indeed. Will Bullet Boy, though, be able to work his way past Laser and get himself into the top 5? Have to wait and see.
Going to be fascinating. 14% tyres. Pressure from Bullet Boy now. He's going to try and lunge it down the inside and towards turn 1. He might even not need turn 1. As Bullet Boy is now through. Onto the final lap we go. And he's through and he's up into 5th position. Will Laser begin to fight back? I don't think he will with those tyres. Combi and Kern are side by side running down in towards turn 1 as well. Combi is there through and he's up into 8th position. Dobby is hanging on for grim life on those tyres as well. And Matthias has got a crack at Perpetum for 2nd position out on track. It is Medium Pilot leading from Perpetum in 2nd. Matthias in 3rd. Currently Volbeek, then Bullet Boy, then Laser. Not many penalties to speak about, so I don't think we'll see many changes. I'm looking at Dobby's tyres. 81% on that front left. Are they going to go any second? Lemon is down the inside of Kern, running down it towards turn 8. Can he get the move done? He forces Kern out wide, and now we're going to be side by side down in towards turn 9 and 10. This is absolutely impossible from Lemon to try and get the move done around the outside here, but they're still side by side. Kern blocks off the corner on the inside, blocks off Lemon, and Lemon's forced out wide. And fair play to Kern, he had the car there and stopped Lemon from coming through, and he's into 9th position still. But let's focus on that man there who's just lapped Recon, in fact, out on track. Medium Pilot around the final corner. He will take the championship lead. He will take round 2 of the championship as well. Medium Pilot, back to his best, wins here in Bahrain. Perpetum is finding off Matthias for 2nd as well. It's going to be Perpetum going to be in 2nd. Matthias, a really good race from him in 3rd. Volbeek in 4th. Bullet Boy in 5th. Really good performances. Later in 6th. Noon in 7th. He will follow, I think, just out in front of these guys. Lemon and Kern side by side, nearly with the 2 Mercedes as well. Venoms. Dolby managed to get those tyres to the end in 11th. Carlsbury around the final corner to finish in 13th position. I think Recon managed to get onto the final lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. But Carlsbury was the line at 13th, and that's amazing hour round.
Yeah, amazing hour. I don't know whether he was pushing hard to get within penalty range of Carlsbury, because he was about 3 and a bit seconds behind. He's dropped behind Verstappen, who has got some penalties. And is that going to make a difference here? Verstappen just in the end finishes behind Amazing Hour. That got a bit close at the end. Shapalele, 17th. Pashiro ends up finishing 16th, and it seemed as though he drove round on his own, but he kept it nice and clean and didn't do too bad there. And Recon, I think Recon actually did manage to unlap himself here, so he's pushing like crazy at the end of this race to try and get that fastest lap. Medium Pilot, though, the start of the race is, I think, what did it for Perpetuum. He had a bad start, dropped behind a couple of cars. Medium Pilot took the lead of the race. Fantastic first stint, and a fantastic start to the second stint as well on those first couple of laps on the hard tyres. That's where he pulled a gap, and he just extended it throughout the race. A fantastic performance, and that is why he's the championship leader.
Recon Nick's fastest lap of the race late on as well, with a 1:26.6 out on track. Drive of the day is voted by the in-game fans is Bullet Boy out on track. Really good. Two of the guys that I said, Bullet Boy and Matthias, to watch out for, in the end finished 3rd and 5th. It's like James is absolutely a miracle man out on track, honestly. Medium Pilot, though, takes the win out on track, and once again, he takes the championship lead. And looking into the round, he takes a 6-point lead, barring any penalties, of course. Medium Pilot takes a 6-point lead ahead of Perpetum. Matthias in 3rd, Volbeek 4th, and Bullet Boy in 5th position. At one point of that season, actually last season,
Good job from all of them. Just a shame maybe we saw a few spins from different drivers. We could have seen something different. Volbeek with a fantastic performance to work that alternate strategy. And Bullet Boy, I said I wasn't sure whether pitting early off the mediums was the right thing. You got to drive with a dame off the game. Went up 9 places. Seemed to work out okay for the Haas driver.
yeah, it's both Medium Pilot and Perpetum's second podium as well this season. Medium Pilot the wins from Perpetum 2nd, Matthias in 3rd, Volbeek 4th, Bullet Boy in 5th, Laser in 6th, Noon in 7th, Combi 8th, Kern in 9th, Lemon out the top 10. Dobby, Venoms, Carlsbury, amazing now, disappointing from him. Verstappen in 15th, Mashiro, Shapalele, Recon, 18 finish. The 2 Scotsmen, Armady and Venom, the 2 Renaults as well, do not finish out on track. But there we are, looking at the best result as well. Matthias, 9th last time, finishing 3rd. Volbeek finished 5th, goes 1 better 4th. Bullet Boy, 17th last week, 5th. And Laser, 16th last week, 6th. Unbelievable.
Yeah, not bad whatsoever, I think, from those drivers. They'll be they'll be very happy with how that gone. Then, obviously, you had the opposite side of the coin. Amazing Hour, lap 1 damage, absolutely finishing him off. Not a lot he can do about that. And for his teammate as well, Shapalele, it was looking so good at one point in that race. Despite the penalty, we still thought he'd got a good result. And that spin just costing him. Racing Point, having a fantastic race, obviously, with Medium Pilot taking the win. They'll be very happy with how they did. And Combi not doing too bad as reserve, but let's not forget his points will not count towards the Constructors' Championship.
They will not count towards the Constructors' Championships. Indeed, we are now getting in our drivers. I hope they're available for interview. I have a feeling we're only going to get one out of the 3, and that'll be the man who finished possibly in 3rd position. Of course, that was Matthias. But looking ahead, of course, to next week, and next week, if I'm not mistaken, let me get the calendar up for you in just a second. Probably already up on your screen now because of Tom's magic on the graphics. But next week, we do go to Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix at the Circuit de Catalunya, the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, in fact. And it's going to be fascinating to see how that is going to unfold. Spain, as a viewing track, is great. As a track for drivers, not so much.
It's weird. I seem to be in that position that tracks a lot of these drivers hate, like China, Spain. I seem to enjoy for some reason. Whether it's just that the good guys don't put a lot of practice in, and I never put a lot of practice in, and it just matches up around that circuit. I'm not sure. Yeah, Spain, another one of those where strategy could be quite important, can be a bit of a killer. That front left tyre takes an absolute hammering through turns 3, 4, and I think it's turn 9 or 10. The first right-hander at the top of the hill in the second sector really do take a bit of a beating around those corners. So they're going to have to be careful on tyre management once again. And if you get a bad start, it's, apart from Mexico, I think it's the longest run on the calendar. So it's such a long run on that way down towards turn 1. If you have a bad start, like Perpetuum did tonight, you can easily find yourself 4th or 5th by the time you're heading towards that first corner.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, I think. And then the week after that, we go to Baku, where I know me and Tom go miles back with me trying to go around the outside of the castle section through there. But the less we say about that, the better. I wonder who came out on top of that one. Tom.
I have a feeling it wasn't you.
It definitely wasn't me. I think I ended up in the wall and out the race. That's how bad it ended up for me. But honestly, it's been an absolute privilege to take you through the action once again here tonight. We're waiting on, hopefully, any of the 3 to join. I have a distinct feeling, though, that we're not going to get anyone in, which is not great. But then again, I don't blame them. After Bahrain, no safety cars as well to put about on that race. Amazing Al was saying he was praying for a safety car, to be honest, but it didn't happen. And Venom and Combi having a bit of an exchange as well. They had a little bit of contact and are sorry for the hit. That is Combi to Venom, I think, as a result of that. And 5 wide, apparently, at turn 1. That's what happened to Amazing Hour.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in that background. We always see the concertina, well, I always say slinky effect. It sounds a bit less fancy than concertina, but that's the best way of thinking about it. You stretch out a slinky at the start of the race. When it goes down into the braking zone, it all compresses, and when you pull it out back together, there might be a few tangles and a few bits flying in directions you wouldn't expect. And unfortunately for Amazing Hour and Verstappen, they were in that situation. And Amazing Hour just said, I got shunted, no idea from where or who. That pretty much sums up turn 1 in a lot of races. You just sort of hope you can manage to get your way through without losing A, too many positions, and B, too much carbon fibre off your car. I'm sure he'll be back next time around, though, for the Spanish Grand Prix, and I'm sure he'll be determined to get on the podium again and maybe try and retake that championship lead. It's going to be hard, though, with, obviously, Medium Pilot, second last time around, first here, looking very good in the early stages.
Yep, 6 points going to be taken as a championship advantage going, of course, into next week in Spain. Him and Perpetuum, of course, leading the championship for Matthias in 3rd going into tonight. Combi's put it perfectly, I think, out of this race. It's more realistic to win the lottery than getting out there with no damage. That was turn 1 he's referring to, and I don't blame him for putting that as well. I don't think we're going to be joined by anybody in the interview room, the commentary box, of course, here tonight. So let me take you through what we've got up and coming once again. And before that, I would like to thank IGK_TAS for that brilliant telemetry system, of course. Luke used it, of course, in One Hub. We now use it, of course, in TTML. There's even been rumours of League of Europe possibly using it going forward. I really hope they can afford it. But it's going to be fascinating, I think, to see how that telemetry system evolves throughout the season as we get more data through. We get more wise as commentators as well. We can take you through the best action possible out on track. But next week is Spain. You don't have to rewind, though, to Spain, because tomorrow night it is Esports Masters League, and there's been a change-up in the commentary lineup for tomorrow night. Kieran McGinley, of course, doing the Challenger Series tomorrow night. We don't pity him at all. But joining Aidan Carter in League One is none other than my co-commentator here tonight, Mr. Luke Etheridge, and that is going to be fascinating, I think, to see tomorrow night.
Yes, it is. League One, there's some extremely quick drivers in there. So if I say that about League One, you can just imagine what the Premier Division is like. Yeah, should be some really fascinating, should be some really great racing. That is on at 7 p.m. And then it is yourself leading the action at 8:30.
It is indeed, and I've got Daniel Hoggard, who I've kind of stolen from League One, to be honest, for the next 4 races, to be my co-commentator alongside me, and that, of course, is from 8:30, as Luke has already just mentioned there. Thursday night, it's Division 2 and Division 3. Daniel Hoggard back in action alongside Michael Edwards for Division 2. Aidan Carter and Conti, if I'm not mistaken, are taking you through Division 3. Division 4 out on track on Friday. That is going to be myself, and hopefully Paco Suarez is going to be joining me in the commentary box for that. And Division 5, James Boyle, Cadwell 5, of course, taking you through the commentary for that of Division 5. And that is pretty much that. That's our schedule. That's how we roll. TTML F2 as well on Sunday night. Aidan Carter and TFI Buck, if I'm not mistaken, taking you through the action for that as well. And then we do it all over again next week as we start round 3 of the championship here in TTML. But let me reiterate what I said at the start of the stream. 100,000 deaths here in the UK. Please keep at it, because all of us as a collective, no matter where you are from, no matter what country you live in, we are all in this together, and I think we just need to look out for each other. We have to protect yourself, your family, your wider friend group, everyone. Please stay at home, please protect the NHS, and please, for the love of God, save lives, because you do not want to be in that position, and you do not want to be a stat of those 100,000 deaths. It's as simple as that. And let me end off by saying thank you to Luke Etheridge, of course, for joining me in the commentary box. Thank you to Tom for doing all the graphics here in TTML. As always, it's an absolute privilege, and it's fascinating to see all of these graphics come up time and time again. That is it from us. I will stop waffling on. Thank you so much for tuning in to TTML Division 1. We'll be back tomorrow night for Esports Masters League, but until then, for the second time, I've been James Head.
I've been Luke Etheridge.
Take care of yourselves, please stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Suck you, na na na, to my center of gravity. Cause it's true, na na na, everything they say about me. I'll love you like a supernova, burned into you like a shooting star. Always craving for you to come to me. Though this way of life, no, it ain't healthy, but ain't no other way, it's just what I need. I want all your soul, I want your body. I'm the type that licks her play clean. Don't wanna let go, wanna you can eat. If you gave me your whole life, I would still have room for more. Cause I've got that appetite. Baby, I never feel whole. You might get me through the night, but it will never be enough. It will never be enough. Cause I'm a black girl for your love. If you give me your whole life, I would still have room for more, 'cause I've got that appetite. Baby, I never feel whole. You might get me through the night, but it will never be enough. It will never be enough. 'Cause I'm a black girl for your love. Never be enough. 'Cause I'm a black girl for your love.
Oh no, that is what they all say when they see me pouring some more. Oh, then gets empty again. Better fill it up before I go. 'Cause I'm loving it, feeling it, touch me and being it. See what I see in it, I'm typical. Messing around with it, mix it up, go with it, fuck with it, flow with it, let it all go. Oh Lord, think you know what I'm like, but you don't fall, you lose control. Bittersweet melody when I dance on your floor. 'Cause I know what you don't, it is me you adore. How does it feel to breathe when you're dead? They never seen you out of your bed. Cut to the bone, it's broken up, and how sad. Oh boy, got so hot I forgot what I should have thought of before. Sure ain't easy for you to let go of the rules, 'cause that's so much fun. Are you loving it, feeling it, touch me, are you in it, don't see what you see, but typical. Messing around with it, mix it up, go with it, fuck with it, flow with it, please let it go. Oh no, think I did it again. I said a few things that I shouldn't have done. Well, bittersweet melody when I dance on your floor.